Hi everyone, welcome back into the classroom. Today we're going to paint, I'm going to work with some consistencies. I've been working with you all year on these consistencies of paint to do different things, to paint our clouds and do everything. We haven't done a seascape for a while, so I thought I'd return to a seascape. And I have a board here. This is it's 16 inches this way. It's almost 14 inches this way. It's this one I had out into the studio and went and grabbed it. You know, like a 14 by 18 and work really great. I wanted it not quite, you know, before I've done more of the landscape seascapes. I want this one a little bit more because I have an idea. I'm going to make it about the sky. And I went over and got a couple of reference photos and stuff for some of it. One that it shows a real beautiful sky. I'm not going to probably not make it that stormy, but I love the interaction of the blues into the clouds and stuff. And I like the openness of the beach, but I might want some water or something up over here into the beach. I love it when water comes back up and reflects some of the stuff going on in the sky. So I might do that. And I just love, this is a beach down in Australia. And so I just love the openness of it and just a little bit of hint of the trees and stuff like that into the background. So I think I'm going to do that. We're going to do most of it with the knife. We're still going to use our brush on laying in some of the big colors. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun with the knife. So here I have my normal colors out, Dave's favorites. I do have the medium white. The medium white is a color that I really like to use, especially when I'm painting something with sand. It goes into those sand colors so easy. It is actually, if you don't have it, it is titanium white, a little bit of yellow oxide, and a little bit of raw umber. Taking it to about a value 7. That's how we make it. But it's not an expensive color, so you can add it to your collection pretty easy. I have the open medium out here. I'm going to be showing you that. And then right here, I'm going to use this as well today. I've had this container. You've seen me use this same container of this for years. I made this up. It is extender that I have. It is the extender medium, this right here. And what I do is I add the thickening agent. We have what's called an acrylic modifier, rheology modifier. It's a thickening agent. You add just a little bit of that to the extender, and it turns it into a gel. And you can make it different consistencies of that gel. I like it pretty thick, so when I want to go with really, really thick areas, that's the one I go to. And because it gives it a long, long, long drying time. And it gives me that sliding feeling that I can when I make waves or sand or something like that. Okay? All right, let's get into some of this. So what I want to do is I want to make it a lot about the sky. And so how you position your sky. I want to have some beach and stuff in here, but I want a lot about the sky. So I don't like to divide the painting right exactly in half, but I usually make the choice, is it about the sky or is it about the water? And then, so if it's about the sky, the majority comes down into the sky. If it's about the water, then of course I raise the horizon line back up. I'm going to take just a little bit of blue, maybe a little bit of burnt sienna in it, and I'm going to drop this down. So halfway is right about in here. So I'm going to drop it down, maybe right in here, a little bit lower than halfway, and I'm just going to take my brush like this. This is you see me use this before. I took a Home Depot ruler, I whacked off part of it, and I put the screw in here, so it's a nice T-square right here, and I just run my brush around it. Thin your paint out a little bit, run your brush, and you have yourself a nice horizon line. So that is, let's look at that for a second. Let's go down just a little bit lower, maybe. I want the sky just a touch higher than I do the horizon line. So let's just do that. Just a little bit, that's going to be better, okay? So I'll set that aside. We're done with that. Such a useful little tool for making those things real quick. You can use tape and some of the other stuff that other people always say that you can use and stuff, and whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But I'm just going to move that or get rid of that line just a bit. Now, we have to make a decision, on our horizon here. Of course, the edge of the horizon here, and then we're going to have this cloudy little environment in the sky. I think I'll start up with the sky. I want to start with some light colors into the sky, and then I'm going to add the darker colors to it, okay? But I'm going to put a base. Now, we're going to work from thin to thick. So, and I'm just going to mix up some colors here, a beautiful sky color, some blue, some white here, and if you, oh, I got a little container of extender here. You hear I apologize, my dog is sitting here. You know, she's sleeping and now she's dreaming, and so you hear her here. Sorry about that, but I took her and her sister swimming at the lake this morning, so they're zonked out. So you'll hear some snoring and some barking in the background. And she's obviously still chasing the geese, but anyway, so I'll lighten this up to a light blue. I'll add some extender to it here, okay? And I'm going to use my big brush, and I'm going to put this on kind of thin, so some extender, kind of thin, so we have something to blend into. A nice even coat of thin. Don't put it on thick. We want it thin here. The color consistency is thin, because then the clouds and stuff that we put on will not have to fight the thickness of the blue. We're going to do a lot more to this, but this will just start us out here. Here, just like that. And so sometimes when it's thin, you'll get little brush marks. Just go over it a bit until you get rid of it. And use yourself a soft brush. You know, you've seen me in other seascapes, and I have a lot of seascapes on here, where I use my paint scraper. And if I was to do this with a paint scraper, if you keep that, there's times where I do this with the paint scraper, where I apply it like this with the paint scraper, and I keep scraping, because you get this beautiful inconsistency to the colors here. You know, this up and down consistency to it. And the paint scraper, when you're applying like a ground line or something like this with the paint scraper, if you have a little bit of extender over the surface, you've seen me do that before, where I put a light coat of extender over the surface, you'll get a better, easier application of the color when you use a scraper. So those of you that like to do that. Now, why use a scraper? Because you get some of these beautiful, you don't get a solid line like you do with the brush sometimes. And that's wonderful. So some of you like that, would like to do that. And that works nice. Let's just put some of these colors right down into here. If I'm going to add water down into here, maybe water up on the beach or something, some of those colors will reflect up into the sky. So we'll have that idea. I'll just leave some of that up there. That's the color of the sky. Rinse that in the brush just a bit. We'll set it down. Now, let's work some smaller areas of color, and we'll set up some soft areas. So the soft areas, I'm going to do the majority of the painting with the knife. But if I'm setting up soft areas, edges of the the back or the horizon line and stuff, I like to set in with a little bit of brush. Or if I put it in with the knife, I'll soften it with the brush. I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is my sky. So I'm going to set in a little bit more cloudy. I like the cloudy sky, cooler. I like a little bit more violet into it. So this is Phthalo Blue, which is a blue-green. So I'll add some violet to this, right? And then maybe even a little medium white. The medium white, having the yellow in this, is going to gray this color. It's going to lighten it, but it's going to gray it. See how that grays it? Let me take some of this over here with the white. You'll see a difference in it. You'll see here it is not as grayed as here it's more grayed. And so the medium white grays it. If you're talking about storm clouds and stuff, that grayness is really kind of neat. So maybe even a little bit of both. We want this, that's our sky, so we want this just a little bit darker. But I like to do this, model it so it's not perfectly mixed. And up and along your horizon line here, right up along your line, I like to push in some of that color here, and we're just going to manipulate this along here. Let let all these little burbles of color happen, because we'll soften that with the brush in just a minute. But see all that undulation of color and stuff? Just let that happen. That's going to add a tremendous amount of interest to our painting here. So see, then we can come around. Let's pinch wipe all of the moisture out of your brush here and just pull right along that here. Got a little fly right there. And maybe right along our horizon line there for a second. And you see how you'll get all of those beautiful undulations there. So the knife works so great for getting that undulation. Sometimes the brush is so smooth and you just don't get those kinds of undulations. And the knife is great for that. Let's take some of this with some white and some of our blues. A little different color here. Right up in here. And let's work some of that right up in here. So it's a little different. Maybe even a little bit of more of the phthalo with some of that light. And maybe we'll start adding a little gel. This will keep it really wet here. That will see this. If you're going to paint all this sky with storms and stuff like that, you want some of these different colors showing up into it. This, what happens here. So we'll just move that aside just a bit. You can give it a little up and down motion here, which gives it a good kind of stormy kind of look to it as well. But you can see that change of it. Now let's go up to the top, and we'll take a little bit of thin color here. And we'll add maybe a bit of violet to it. So phthalo blue and a little bit of the violet here. Let's just add some of this. The sky, and I'll have to touch that back up. But the sky gets a little softer up there, or darker, slightly darker in value. I'll just thin this out. Thin color. Your thin color moves together really easy. So just want to keep that thin. So I just wanted a touch, well, like you can see up into those photos and stuff, it's a little bit darker up at the top, and we want that. So let's just get maybe just a touch more here. Just a little bit more here. Yeah, like that. Just that unevenness there to that. And we'll just soften that. That's what I want, that undulation, unevenness there. Okay, so we'll just pinch this brush with my paper towel here for a moment, soften that out, and let's come in here, and we're going to build clouds and stuff like that into that. But first, let's drop in some of the ocean. We want the ocean pretty soft here. We don't want a tremendous amount going on. I was looking for, where did I just set my palette knife? There we go. And so I'm going to take some of this color here, a little bit of, let's go with the darker red violet here, into some of this. That's beautiful. We'll set that right in here, right along the horizon line, some of this color. I love the knife in the horizon line, again, because I get some undulation to it. I can add some of the anything, like open medium or this. This will cause the color to slide better over the surface. So now you'll notice when I put it on, it slides longer across the surface. And that's what you got to do. If you're painting with the knife and your knife isn't moving, you have to add something to make it move. And this is what I like. See this undulation? So that's not quite as much. It's a little too thick right there for me. So I'll just take some clear medium and just pull right through that for a minute. That's what I want, right in there. Right? And maybe bring this and the sky and stuff like that a little bit closer together here. As I bring as I come like this and I start to bring the colors closer together, what happens with the horizon line, if my ground or my water line comes closer to the horizon line color, the sky color, the depth, it increases the depth. So out there where the color is darker, it will appear almost like it comes a little closer, but over here it appears a little bit darker. But see, I'm looking for these undulations. See this kind of undulation here. that you get right there. And so then I can take my big soft brush, I can lay it right on this edge here and just pull, and I'll get this softening to my Seascape right there on that edge. You can use it more, you know, pull it again and again and again to smooth it out, but I like that, almost that disappearing kind of look there. It dives down just a little bit over here, so let me raise it up just a touch and pull down just a bit and just pull this through here just like that. That's all I need. That's good. That's got a good kind of distance to it. Sometimes you'll see me in the other ones where I'll just take that and I'll pull my big knife all the way across, and that really works as well. But a little bit of that undulation there, and we'll just push this up just a bit here. You know, you can always reset it if something gets in the way. You can, and see, that's what I like. See all that? That's what gives you this sense of the ocean back there. So I want to leave some of that in there, right like that. And not, you know, it's not a smooth line. That gives you a more natural look to it, okay? So let's come back up over here. Let's add some burnt sienna to this, to that blue, right? Some burnt sienna, maybe a little more blue and burnt sienna together, a little darker, maybe a touch of violet. Model some of this together here. Here's like this, a little violet, a little darker like that. And we're going to put in, just like it you see back up over there and stuff, we'll put in the idea of some back areas right up here, right like that. Tap it, move it, so it's not real smooth. I'm going to wipe some of that extra color off my knife and now just manipulate this through like that. Pull down and through like that, so I can get some of the, I want this undulation of light and darks like that. Sometimes I'll take my finger and just touch through like that, but this is going to give a more natural look to that, to those back like trees and edges of the shoreline. Then we'll drag it like this and let it fade off. So just drag it like this and let it fade off like that. We're going to let all of that just slowly disappear back there. Here, pick up a little bit of that, maybe a little burble line. So what happens is it's going to touch in, my color's going to fade off here. It's going to touch in and start to disappear. I can take a smaller, softer little brush and just go right over that right there to soften some of that. I might want to leave some of that. Some of this I might just touch, but I want this faded look right there. That's what I want. And I've got a little crooked, so I'm going to go back here to some of my horizon line color right here with my brush and just clean that edge right there just a bit. And again, see the difference that it adds? A little bit of that light blue right along there adds a nice little undulation of that color. The color does, you know, the color changes all along there. Does that make sense? That's what I like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what the knife does so very well. But I combine the brush to give me some of that softness. Now let's come right in here. We'll put the beach, right? So first I'll take some of my nice thick, I could even add both. I do like both of them mixed up together here. And let's drop in the idea of the beach here. And the first yellows, we'll put more color into this. And then we'll let that just kind of fade along, right like that. Just a little line that fades along. I'm going to wipe my knife, pick up a bit more of it right in here, pull down. This is where I want to do, some of you know that I love Richard Smith's paintings where we do what's called drawing in. You're bringing the viewer into the painting. I want that viewer to come in right into here, so I want to draw them in. So I want to suppress some of this here, but I want to increase the look right up here in my sand. Maybe a bit of white in with this, right into this area right here, and pull that out here, and pull that out, just so we get some of that real light. Touch it right in there. Pull it out. This white that I'm putting on, this medium white and white, is thicker, right? That's where it is. Now, we can come back and push down slightly to create. So I don't want to create a straight line. So I'll work that line just a couple times to make it more natural here. Right along like that. Just touch that. And you could use the edge. If you want to draw a tighter edge, raise the knife up like this so that you don't have much resistance on it, and use the edge and slowly pull the edge down, flattening the knife, and that'll give you a smoother edge. See that? So you roll it up on the edge like this to draw. So let me just grab a little bit more of this. So I roll up onto the edge of the knife like this and draw out to let that disappear out there. See how it makes the disappearing edge of that beach? And I can widen it out so I make the disappearing by then just dropping the knife a little, just a little, push it down a little, and I'll widen it out a bit, and there goes and the beach is down, see? So you don't have to use the knife flat, only flat when you're going to really apply a lot of color here as I put on more of the beach. Okay, so here we'll come right up here. Let's just tap a little bit here, and that will make more undulations of color, which will give us some more interest right in there. Here we go. Maybe just a touch of the light, of the white, maybe a touch of blue into that. Bring in some of that other color and touch a bit of that right in there like that. That's pretty. That works pretty good. Let's go with a bit of yellow into this, a bit of burnt sienna. I love these in there. I'm going to grab some of our mediums, a little thicker, because I'm going to lay this up on top of the beach now. Maybe mottled in a little light, even a little blue into it. Let's just model that up like that. And let's just pull some of this into the beach. Right in here. Just pull the knife across here. Right into that. Right? Pulling that down. Some of our violets. Let's get some of our blue, our violets, some of our light colors, some medium white and white into that. Real light violets. We need that into the beach as well, right in here. These are colors that are going to peer up into the sky. And a lot of times well, let me put it this way. Today, as an artist, I'm more brave to leave stuff like that. And you'll see in several seascapes I paint, I'll leave that. But if you want it smoother, just drag the knife over it. You can drag the knife flat like this and burnish it down like what I told you to do. So if I want to pull the blue, I wipe the knife real well. Pull from the blue this way, okay? So use that flat and pull that in, and you'll pull the blue into the beach here. Some of that light color comes through, and you can burnish, but you have to hold the knife really flat, really flat, and see that does a little bit of the blending of the beach for you. You can also just take your big brush like this and pull it across once. Sometimes I'll pull down, which gives you the look of, reflections and stuff like that into the beach here, and pull down and across. You have that extender and stuff in there, so it stays wet for quite a long time, so you have that. I'm going to push the beach. So let's use some of this yellow and stuff. I'm going to push the beach all the way up over to here as well. Maybe back, because we want a long line of the beach here, like this. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I really do that, I like to just get it done like this. Boom. Done. This is where the scraper is just great. So we'll pull the beach, blend those together just a bit like that. See? And that just happens so fast. Right like that. Boom. And now we got that water line and the beach line. We'll come down here with some of our light colors. Let's just take some of our lights and stuff down here. We want to give the impression. I said I wanted to get some water up here up top. So let's just get some of that impression up here. of that. See, this is where all this modeling is really good. Add some gel to it, add some open medium to it. Don't mix it up real well. Grab it with that knife, this paint scraper, and just pull that across and put some of this water right down in here. Right down like that. Works so well. So say I wanted to clean that up a bit. I'll pick up a bit of my yellow right here. Doesn't take a lot. Push the knife real flat and see, and then I'll lift the pressure and then I'll push it back down again, and that will deposit that. And see, you get that beautiful look of that beach here. So, and this scraper just does it good, really, really well. Boom, just puts all of that in. It's like this water kind of tracking up into here. That's kind of where I want to do what I want to do. Let's put a little bit of light water, maybe right in here, right like that. Boom, just like that. A little bit of the light, right? And you can sit there and touch and add little marks like this, which will help you get little wave action there. You know, just use your tip of your knife like that, or your paint scraper. You could do this with the knife as well. I'll push and pull that to get that right there. And if it's real harsh, I'll just pull across just real quick, and I'll leave that light right there. That works pretty well. But let's get some more, a little bit more burnt sienna, a little more yellow, some of our open medium, kind of model this together, a little bit of the blues here, model this together. Let's get a little heavier yellow sand and stuff right in there, pulling through, and maybe over on the other side over here. So we'll get water like coming up into here, right? So water is going to come up into here. I like that. A little more water than what I kind of had in mind, but I like the way it comes off. Sometimes you just, you know, you let your scraper just talk to you here, and the scraper does it. I had to jump over that, and the scraper just gives you the look of it, that, you know, what happens. So we'll use the scraper flat here, pull across. Now, see why those don't blend real quick is because you can see the thickness of my color. So if you want to be able to pull that several times, your colors that you're laying on here have to be pretty thick. You know, where I laid out all the thin stuff here, that'll blend really easy. But if my colors are thick, they don't blend real easy, okay? All right, so let's pull down just a bit. This will give it more of a feeling of reflection. So I'll hold this a little flat, use the knife and pull down like this. This will give a little bit of reflection look into it. Instead of the side to side, we'll pull up and down. So we pull up and down to give reflecting looks to something. Then I can pull one across just a bit just to soften some of that, and that will, I mean, it does, it softens it out just a bit. But I'm going to leave some of that. Maybe a bit of this blue just drags in, get rid of that light right there, but not really all that important. So I kind of really like that. Let's take some lighter color right in with this blue, add some of our clear, maybe a little bit of open medium, tap that in, and let's just run this right along the edge here, and that will create a bit of our wavy line, our line of surf and stuff right here, and maybe a few lines of it back here, just like that, okay? And it's really a fun painting to do, guys, and it's all on consistency. So this is a great line, a great way to practice some of your waves. Now, don't put waves just all the way across, and you can see it's thick texture right there. You don't need to put waves all the way across there. Let's just drag a bit of that right in here. So it's like some of it is like coming forward right in here. Right, we'll just drag this across here. A little bit of the wave line here. A little bit here, just a little foamy action here. Like that. That's good. Maybe some of this softened right out there. The way, the angle at which you pull and everything is really important. Maybe just a little bit of up and down there, pulling some of that forward. Just little touches of the light out here is all you need to say water. Or that's all you need, just little touches of that there into the beach. Maybe a touch more of the white right up here. Right up there like that. That water comes up right like that. And that pulls, and see, that gives me that contrast I'm looking for right up there. That pulls the viewer up towards that right there. Right? And maybe just now the angle. See, it's just a tiny bit and just a little angle of that white right there. So it gets a little mark of that light. That's all I need. So I think that's kind of a real pretty little beach scene. I could have a little more yellow, lighter yellow in there, but I think I'm going to be all okay, all right back there. Now, let's go up and let's put some clouds. So I'm going to use some thicker paint. Clouds come in now a little thicker. I'm going to start with some medium colors here and some white, and just lighten them up a bit. Not mixed up real well. Maybe a little more violet in some of this. And that's the other thing too. Let me just take some of this. So this light color of the violet, it's really pretty into some of the sand here as well. So let's just add, here, tap this in, and let's just add a little bit of the violets in here into the sand. Here, that's pretty. It breaks up some of the yellow here. So a bit of the violets in there. And you can soften it out a bit too. So, pull some down. That's nice. But you get that little bit of violet in there. It's really pretty. Here, let's grab some of that violet right along the edge of this wave line. Here, that's pretty. All right, so let's go back up here. Some of our blues and these violets. Make sure you have this open medium, this, and see how much thicker it is. See, this is going to give me my bigger bit here as I start to put on and draw my clouds. See how it sticks? Wherever I touch it, it sticks. See that? And that's what I want. I want this, we're going to do this bigger kind of cloud here, right? And we'll put quite a bit more. That little point, you can get rid of it just by doing this, using your knife a little flatter like this. And let's just pull some of that. I like this real light blue happening right there. I think that's really neat. Here. Right like that. And I might want to close this off a bit, but I do like the water coming forward here, but might want to maybe here as I'm looking at this, maybe pull the viewer this way, maybe another little wave line right like here down, so they see that wave coming in. See, I can manipulate that wave pretty easy here coming in. That works really nice. Let's put a little blue into this right in here. Get those colors in there, right? I like that. Let's pull this in just a bit here. Here, like that. Tap that in. Let this wave line, like it's coming in right in here, right? I like that. Coming in. Here it is right in there. And then we'll put the other edge of it right in here like it's falling in here. Pulling the viewer in here like this, see? And that's pretty neat right there. So you can control that. See, I am in control of this, what it looks like here. Sliding this in here. Wave going in and out, horizontal movements here. There like that. And when they come in here like it's coming in, they angle all different kinds of ways. So you can get some different angles through here, as the wave is coming in. Let's build it just give this a bit more power right here, a little bit more white right there, so it's coming in, so it feels like it's coming in a bit more. And see, I got all this idea right as I started to put that cloud in there. Now, if you got too wide an area of white, just take a bit of your blue and back paint it back out. Slide your knife, back paint it back out there, and get some of that blue going on in there as well. That works. Let's put just a little bit more light into this edge of this coming forward there. That just looks pretty neat. All right, let's get back up into here. I don't know if I want to go quite that dark, but I do like some of those clouds, those stormy kind of look, those darks playing against some of that, maybe right back up in here. So let's grab a little more dark, maybe a little bit of violet right up into here, a little bit more violet here. Violet I'm using in my real darks back here, so maybe some of that right in here. Now see how the knife right here, see how it's skipping like this? And I showed you guys this on the Western, so you get that skipping right there. That's because it's real dry. It started to dry right there. And I didn't add any of the gel medium or anything, and so it's not moving. Does that make sense? Okay, because it doesn't slide. So I can put gel medium back into this and instantly slide this along and soften it out. So if your knife starts jumping around on you a bit because it's grabbing because everything is dry, just pick up some of that thick, gelled up extender and stuff, and that'll do it. Or you can pour some extender over it, and that'll do it, There's a lot of ways because you can add this back into it. Let's get some of this light right in here. Mix up some of that gel so this goes right into that here, and just model these two together so we get some of that light and stuff together. Now, if you like that, which I did, a little bit of that light right along the horizon line there, we just go back and add it back in. So we'll take some of our gel, some of our whites. This is where I'll go back and forth in here and add as I start to bring these clouds together. I'll wipe my knife, I'll push it down like this. This is what I call burnishing it, and I'll burnish those together. Now sometimes like I showed you on the beach, you can do it like this too. I can take my scraper right here, and this will blend it together, all of those colors together again there. And I can use it to push up and straighten out a line if I want to add a little bit of that darker ocean color right in there, so I can bring that edge back up right in there to soften. But I like that edge there. I can use this to build and take out any area and pull across and soften some of that here. Soften some of that coming across here. Pull across, that blends it, see? So I've got some of these other colors coming into here. Let's just take a little bit of the blue and these violets here and add some other colors up here that are going to come up into these clouds. Right up there like that. And some of these other blues and stuff. And see, push flat, and you'll soften it and blend it just a bit, right? Or you can take your knife and pull right along that edge and soften that as well that way, right? All kinds of ways. And practice it. This is just a board and some paint here, and you can do fun things. Now, I'm going to thicken this up and make sure it's really thick. A little more white, maybe some medium white in here, so I get just a bit of warmth into it here. Okay, and we'll look at the light edge of those clouds right there. Ooh, I hit that burnt sienna right there. That's okay. I'll just leave it in there and put some thicker color over it, and it'll all soften in there. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. And let's pull down. Let's add some more white. Pull down with a bit of the violet. Model this up. This is thicker color model this up for some more of the cloud here. And watch the different ways you use your knife. And if I use my knife here, which is what I like, to burnish it, that's where I'll come in like this. I can actually paint that cloud really nice like this and leave some of those wispy marks, leave some of these, some of these other just real, you see me in the westerns do those clouds that are a little softer. I can pull that blue and stuff right back here like that, boom, and see how that just softens all of that. So I'll soften all of this. So make sure your brush is pretty clean. Push a little bit because this has been wet for a while, and just pull slowly, and that'll blend all of that back into there, into that soft cloud. Just kind of pushes them all together like that. Here, let's one more time, right like that. I don't like to do it for too long. I like to have a little bit of undulation in some of this. So a few vertical marks, that's what I like. So get some vertical marks in there as well, so that you just don't have a solid horizontal mark. Pull some verticals in there, and that's what gives you so much interest and stuff on that side there. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, but I can still build this cloud some more. And, do you want to, I like the light, like in here, I like an area of the light blue or the blue, any kind of blue going against the light here. So let's grab that, and let's just right up over here, I want to pull the viewer in, maybe right back in here. And we'll just build this up a bit more. Maybe a little one right out here. Right, just some undulation there. Some of that cloud back there. That's pretty nice. A little, maybe another smaller one right out here. Right up along that edge. Right? And so to soften it, again, I can use this thing right here and just pull right across, and that softens it. Different than what the brush does, see? It's different than what the brush does, and I love those little undulations that happen. But I can pull the brush as well, maybe pull down a bit sometimes. Pull up here and pull down. Get some of those little undulations. You're building it, right? You're building it. Let's blur that edge right there. Right? You're just building that beautiful little impressionistic seascape there, right? And let's build a bit of the violet. Sometimes I'll come back with my brush like this, and let's extend that violet here. Just a little bit right in there. Maybe a bit of the blue. Oh, look, I don't always know. I don't always know exactly what I want, so I play with it a bit. And I know you have lots of time. The gel medium and stuff that we added there gives us lots of time to pull that. I want to really work this horizon line a bit right in there. I like that. Let's bring in just a little bit more blue into this dirty line here. Maybe a touch more violet, because we added violet in there, didn't we? Right up along this line and drop that in. I love that distance right there that brings. So wipe my brush and go back with this lighter blue right here. Right in there. And I'll vary this, tap this in. I can do that with the knife as well, which is what I like. But so that adds quite a bit to the depth there. Let's just take a bit of this blue and light mottled, a little bit of the violet, and add some of that into the water here. Pull that line so it's not particularly smooth there. That's what I like. So here, and we got that undulation. Anything up here you could still lift up and give some more look of the trees or something in here. Pull that down and through. There's that little fly, came back. Here we go, just a bit of that. That looks pretty good. So I love that. Now I love this softness. I don't think I want to touch that edge. I love that edge. I want to have maybe a little more right here. So let's go a little bit of our blue and our light right up here. Thicker. You can see how much thicker it is, right? And just lightly tap your knife. Let the textures and stuff like that come off of it here. And let's build that just a bit. Maybe this is a bigger one right down through here. And a little bit of our gels and stuff into that here. Bit of that right across here, right up into the front. Drag it into that, down into that shadow, little side to side. You're building layers of the clouds here. And I can push my knife down and do what I call burnish it. That'll drag some of the color or push it into the background colors I have going on there. See? And yeah, let's just push that up and push some of this up into here, into the sky. So we get that. I like those high differences in all of these clouds. A little bit more up in here. Just create some, like I do on my westerns, like those nice high desert clouds, thin clouds. I like some of those. So I'll add some of that right up in here. Let's put a thin cloud. I'll go back and forth a little bit, see, like that. Now, if you really want to blend it down, you have this, right? Push down pretty flat and just soften that out. See how flat that goes? Soften that out. Jump around my little thing there. But we'll just blend that soft cloud there right up into that one. And if you did too much, just add a bit more back up in there. Right up into the front there. There's a little more interest. You could take some blue and back paint up, which is what I like to do sometimes. Let's get rid of this angle right here. Here. A little more light. A little bit more of an edge right there. Right up, smaller light up on the edge. Right? Isn't it kind of fun? And it paints pretty fast. You know, for something like this, it paints pretty fast. You can blur it. I like to, sometimes I love to use my hands, but if you don't want to use your hands, you can just always use a soft brush. But, and just blur some of that, or blur some of this back. Pull some of it down a bit, give some different look to it. You know, a good vertical pull every once in a while gives a nice look to a cloud. You know, so pull down at the vertical. See that look it gives it. And then you can pull across to soften it a bit. You know, it just gives a beautiful look to it as well. And yeah, that nice soft. Let's build. So I was going to build that right up there, but I like this softer, blurry kind of edge there. And let's build maybe a bit more white. So right up into my medium and stuff, nice thick, just little touches of the light here. Heavier, right up in here. You don't have to be solid, just a little more touches here, right up in there. Right, it makes it look like the undulation of the clouds here. Maybe a little bit, we'll put one right in there. See, and again, I can soften it with the brush, or if you want more of that, you know, a little bit uncontrolled, but a little bit controlled, just push with that. Let's just stop that, wipe that knife, and soften that edge right there. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, stop too quick. Right there. That just gives you a beautiful look. Let's just soften this here. Right there. It's just a beautiful look. Let's put a softer little look of the clouds right back here. And you can burnish them in. You can also do this with, you know, the combination of the knife and the brush also work really nice. So we'll push some of this a little bit here, and we've got all of these colors of lights and darks and stuff going on, violets and stuff. That's what makes them pretty little marks of these clouds here, right like that. Like this cloud is building up right here, and looks like Nebraska right there, what they do out here, right like that. That's kind of neat. Maybe a bit of, and don't forget you have violets and other colors you can run up here into the clouds. If they feel like they get too light, you can always come back and run in some shadows to, and any of your beach colors back up here. Pull those back up in there and soften them out. That looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna rinse out my brush pretty good here and grab a fresh paper towel, take that water off of there, put a little extender in it, right? And so that I have just a little bit of moisture in it, and I can use that as these colors start to tack up to any place that I want just a little bit of softness to. I can come back and just soften some of it, push the edge, pull that edge, soften some of that. I like that. Let's soften this right back here. That'll give more depth and bring the island part here, the trees and stuff, farther forward, right in there. A little bit of that. Here, just touch in, right like that. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. You can put some more shadows in there. Like these have a lot of shadows in them. I could put some more shadows, and that would really pull up to the sky. That's kind of a personal choice there. You might want to take your smaller brush here, and if you want the shadows to have more impact, keep it a little bit thicker paint, but just whisper in some shadows into these. Here like that. If you feel that it's gotten too overall light, you can take some shadows up into your clouds, right like that. Break them up a bit here, or softly push some shadows in here. There we go, like that. That softens it out. I wanted to draw the viewer right in there, and I think that is kind of happening there. I want to keep that real light beach there, so I'm going to take a bit more white and some of these light colors and touch that edge there and pull this back. Just a little more color right in there. A little bit lighter yet. Right in there. So this is a fun... Those of you that want to, you know, practice, and this is really, really great practice, something like this, a beach scene like this, because it practices your, you know, your textured edges and stuff that you have going on. You really want to practice your knife painting skills. This is the way to go right here. So let's just tap a little bit of that beach edge. That's where we wanted the viewer to go, right in there. So I'll push that edge in. A little bit of texture gives it a little undulation of highs and lows and stuff. Drag a bit of it maybe up into the tree line there a bit. Right like that. There. That's pretty interesting. So it pulls your eye in here. All soft out through here. Pulls your eye right in there. You know, and maybe get that real nice, maybe some more burnt sienna, that real warm dark. This is a little cool, so we'll put a little bit of warm dark right in there. Let that light dark contrast right there kind of pull the viewer's eye right into there on that beach. That looks pretty good right there. Maybe a bit of the burnt sienna and yellow right over here, right into a bit of that sand right there. Here we go. That looks pretty good. Let's undulate this line a bit. Just pull up, pull down, pull up, pull down here. And just undulate that line a bit. Take out some of that light. That's good. Right like that. I like that. It's a real soft little Seascape. You could build these clouds more round up there if you want. That is all up to you. You know, it's, I can take, if I, you know, you get it all done, you like that, and, you know, say you're all done, you can come back with your brush and really build in a better, softer, lighter cloud if you want. I love the impressionism that comes from, you know, using the paint with the knife, but, you know, we're here to try different things, so take a little medium white here and build that. And I'm out of my white, so I'm going to go grab a little bit more here, a little bit more, and then we will add a bit of the thicker color to this, thickener to it here. Use your knife just real flat, your brush, and you can build the brush. You can round up a cloud here, build a rounder part of the cloud so it stands out a bit more. Maybe one right in here so it stands out. You can round them up a little bit if you want to do that, and see, and give it gives a better, like a puffier look to your cloud. The edges with the knife will give you more of an impressionistic look to the cloud. We're all different in what we like, so, you know, you can just puff up a few here and there if you like that look that comes with those, right? So you can see the look is different here with that. Those edges are different here. Just using your knife, but using your brush, using the combination of the brush and the knife. That's what really makes your seascapes, your landscapes, everything. Just take it to that next level. And I always like a few of the little touches of the little sparks, I call it here, of the painting here, like that little bits of that. Back through there, back further back there. This just gives the depth to the painting here. Maybe a bit of this pulling down here, pulling down. Few of them pulling down. A few pulling down. That gives more body to the cloud here. Just a few marks pulling down. There you go. Something like that. That's kind of pretty. You know, and it's different, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. Okay, that's what we do. We have a heck of a lot of fun. But just build a nice little triangle of the dark there, some of the light that just doesn't get your sea, your coast here. Keep that kind of narrow there. Let it all be about the beach, water coming up here onto the beach, and push back, and you can adjust so easy. Let me show you just one last thing here. Okay, so, the violet is really important into the painting. So I can take a real light violet here and get and thicken it up so it has some power to it. But I can use that even back in here if I want to push this ocean here. See that violet carries that violet down through here. So maybe a touch onto the blue violet over here. So we'll add a bit of the more blue here, and we'll use that like right back in here and just pull across here, right like that, and that'll just, and leave that edge back there. But you're kind of manipulating the color here. Let's leave it a little darker back there, and you could do this with your knife as well, but I look for these undulations of color, but that little strike of violet, look what it does in there. It's really pretty. Let's put a bit of it right up here, and a bit of it right up here. Maybe a touch of it right in here. Here, just soften that line just a bit. That's kind of pretty. So you can see it softens out some of that water line there. And, you know, and you can come back and manipulate the edge. But you have lots of time because, you know, we mixed up this stuff in here. So we got a couple of hours to manipulate this as we want here. Let's just drag that forward just a touch, just like that. Here, flatten, there we go. Edge, if you want to draw, flat, if you want to spread it out and soften it out. And don't forget, this is a wonderful blending tool. When your colors are thick, if your colors aren't thick enough, what you're going to do is dig. They're just going to dig up and scrape off, okay? And so you need your colors thick enough. That's one reason why I'm thickening them up, okay? So that's really, really important, the thickness of those colors. Let's take just a bit of this out here and there. There we go. Just little bits of it. There. It's just nice, impressionistic, fun little landscape. You know, I really want to do one last little thing here. Is that you've seen me on some of my other seascapes. I like to do some of where I paint the landscapes. I like that lighter blue to come back against the edge of a cloud someplace, right back in there. And that let's go a little bit more blue, here, right up. Let's try that, and that just really pops the edge of that cloud. I don't do it everywhere. I just like it in a few areas there, like that. That just kind of pops that cloud. See, I like that. Okay, that's enough. Leave it alone. You could play with it forever. And those of you that are beginners, intermediate painters, play with it. Go play with it and figure out the techniques. And the big thing is that as the paint dries, feel how that manipulates underneath your knife and underneath your brush, because it starts to get tacky and sticky. And sometimes when it's tacky and sticky, it gets the very best techniques, okay? All right, there you guys go. Have a bit of fun with that, okay? And don't forget to subscribe and click that like button. We're going to play a lot more this summer, all with our knife, into our flowers and everything like that. Those of you on Paint It Simply, I've put up some more videos over on the Paint It Simply channel, some more flowers, because we're painting a summer of flowers over there. So you flower painters, make sure you go over there and you know, have a good time over there as well. But enjoy, have a good time painting that, because these are kind of fun techniques to do, okay? All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.